Right. So I think some of the things that I'm going to speak about have been already said. Basically, I'm going to speak about other factors that may affect exposure response relationships for vibration annoyance. So we've seen in the first presentation that a higher exposure is responsible for an increase in annoyance. However, there is a large amount of scattering in the response data. For example, if we see the plots that Sabine showed, there were a lot of variance between different countries. And we know that some noise studies have shown some attitudinal factors and other factors that may have an influence on the annoyance response. And there is a need of knowledge and understanding of other factors, but however, these factors are actually not used in prediction schemes and guidance in general. What factors affect noise annoyance? Noise research have shown some factors that affect exposure-response relationships. Attitudinal factors have been found to have the largest influence on the noise annoyance response. Those attitudinal factors that have been found to have this influence are noise sensitivity and fear due to the source. And there are also other factors, such as situational factors, that have shown to have some influence on these relationships, such as urban surroundings and visibility of the railway. And in general, socio-demographic factors have found to have a very little effect on the noise annoyance response. However, there is one study that found that age acts as a inverse U-shaped curve, being people in the middle age rank more likely to be highly annoyed by noise than the people in the other extremes. So, for example, there is some data on factors affecting noise annoyance, but there are not many studies that have looked at which factors affect vibration annoyance. So we don't know if those factors are the same as noise annoyance, or some of them may be a bit different. There are just two studies that have looked at this. One study is the study that was conducted in the UK by Salford University, and the other study is the one that DNO has conducted within Cargo Vibes. So, we would like to comment in the discussion bit how to present this data in the guidance, this evidence that we have about those attitudinal, situational, and socio-demographic factors that affect vibration annoyance, how we could best represent that in the guide, and if there would be of any use for somebody. So the evidence we have about attitudinal factors that influence the vibration annoyance response is similar to noise. For example, we found that attitudinal factors have the largest effect on the vibration annoyance response. One factor is property damage concern. It was found to influence strongly the relationship between exposure and vibration annoyance. The more concerned, the more annoyed. And this has been found by the Cargo Vibes study and the UK study. Another factor is expectations. People expecting vibration levels to get worse are more likely to be annoyed than people who believe vibration levels will get better or remain the same. This was found in the UK study. Then another factor is noise sensitivity. It was found that people reporting being sensitive to noise are more likely to be annoyed by vibration than people reporting to be non-sensitive. And this was found by the Cargo Vibes study. And then another factor was the perceived brain necessity. people who perceived that freight trains were necessary were found to be less likely to be annoyed by vibration than people who had a slightly more negative attitude towards these freight trains. Other factors that have been found to influence vibration annoyance. Some situational factors. Some sort of factors are area related, and as also Sabine showed in her presentation, Carbovice has looked at responses from different sites, and between, for example, those different two countries, there were found some differences in response and also in attitudes. So people from different locations have different attitudes towards the vibration and therefore to vibration annoyance. Then another factor is the degree of urbanization or type of residential environment. People living in a small town, village or countryside are more likely to be highly annoyed by railway vibration than those living in a city or a large town. This was found by the UK study. And also visibility of the railway has been found to have a small effect on vibration annoyance response. People living in residences with visibility to the railway are more likely to report vibration annoyance than people with no visibility. That was found by the UK study, and the view of the railway from the living room was found to influence annoyance response. That was found in the Carbovice study. Then we found also some socio-demographic factors to have an influence. We found that ownership has an influence. In the UK study, we found that owners were more likely to be concerned about their property being damaged than those who rent the property. Actually, we didn't find a relationship between ownership and annoyance, but we found a relationship between ownership and concern. And the Carbovice study has found that owners report more sleep disturbance due to vibration than those who rent the property, and this has also a link with this concern due to the property being damaged by the vibrations. And also we found little influence of age, the same as noise. It showed an inverted U-shaped pattern with people in the middle rank, about 45, being more likely to be annoyed by vibration than people in the other extremes. Yeah, and this was from the study. So, another thing that we would like to discuss in the discussion is should we inform in the guide of how vibration interferes with daily life activities? I think we speak a little bit about this before in the previous section. So we have some indications. For example, in the UK study, sleeping and resting were found to be the activities most affected by railway-induced vibration. Then in the Norwegian study, they found that listening to the radio and watching the TV were the activities most affected by railway vibration, but however, these curves were very close to the ones of sleep disturbance and rest disturbance.
And with the comment that it was most probably because of noise.
We'll go back to this later. In the Swedish study, they found that the interference with speech and communication was the dominating reaction, and the Carbovice study showed a strong correlation between sleep disturbance and exposure. So from here we know from noise studies that this activity disturbance is related to the noise source. So, for example, railway vibration, for example, as we commented before, it can be that it's different from noise, because railway noise has been shown that the interference and the speech communication is the more dominating reaction, and maybe for vibration, for railway vibration, this can have other another activity disturbance, which is, for example, rest or sleep. And this brings us to the time of day weightings. Should the guide include indications of reactions at different times of the day? We have some indications from the UK study that annoyance is greater in residential areas during the evening and nighttime periods. Additional annoyance is was found to be equivalent to 17 dBs for the night and 8 dBs for the evening. And if we see this graph and we, for example, compare it to noise, we can see here that also the nighttime is much more important, has more importance in the vibration than in the noise. So, for example, as an example of how these time weightings could be used in the guide and could be used also for people who are doing other guidance on vibration, we could compare this with the British standard, which divides by a factor of 2 the day to obtain a nighttime equivalent annoyance. So, for example, from the results we've seen, we can see that it's much more than dividing by a factor of 2 to obtain the nighttime equivalent. Plus, we saw also that the reactions during the evening are greater than during the day. Another thing we would like to comment in the guideline is that if we should include indications of reactions for different railway sources. These different railway sources can be passenger trains, freight trains, or maintenance work. For example, also from Sabine's presentation, we saw that there is a lot of differentiation in the annoyance response between studies, which may partly be explained by differences in the source. So, for example, here in this graph we can see that there is a lot of differentiation between studies. We look at the source type. Another indication that we have is from the UK study. We see that a higher percentage of people are highly annoyed by freight traffic, followed by railway maintenance, and then followed by passenger traffic.
Sorry, vibrations due to maintenance. That's what
Yeah.
you mean with the
Yeah. Vibrations due to maintenance work. So actually the maintenance work is higher than for passenger traffic. And actually we asked this questioning for noise as well. Noise for maintenance work, and we got the same sort of
I wasn't clear, but I was a little bit astonished about the vibrations input. Many
yeah.
people are annoyed by
the yeah. So, from the cargo vibe study also we could see that people at the same exposure are more annoyed by freight trains than by general railway. And I think we've come across noise today, but I think people would like to know what is more annoying, noise or vibration, and what would be better if reducing noise or reducing vibration, and what are the policy implications. So the question we would like to ask in the discussion bit is how to treat noise in the guide. Should we treat it as an other factor? For example, from the UK study, we've collected vibration data and noise data. And here we can see the percentage of highly annoyed people due to vibration as a combination of vibration exposure and noise exposure. And we can see that vibration exposure has a greater effect on vibration annoyance. And here, similarly, we can see the percentage of highly annoyed people due to noise as a combination of vibration exposure and noise exposure. And we can see that noise exposure has a greater effect on noise annoyance, which this shows that people can differentiate between noise and annoyance. But also, if we look at this graph here, we can see, for example, if in a noise study we, for example, don't account for vibration, we are underestimating the percentage of people highly annoyed by noise. From the cargo vibe study, no significant correlation was found between vibration exposure and annoyance due to noise from general railway, although there was a small correlation between vibration exposure and annoyance due to noise from freight trains. And another thing that was found about noise in the cargo vibe study was that hearing rattle in the home was found to have a significant influence on sleep disturbance due to railway and due to freight trains, diminishing the direct effect of vibration exposure. And for example, as we saw that there are all those different factors that can affect the human response, vibration can affect the annoyance response. So should the guide advise on which questions should be gathered in order to collect relevant non-vibrational information? So for example, if we would advise on this, we would advise to collect dwelling and neighborhood satisfaction questions like property type, number of stories, type of residential area, neighborhood satisfaction, length of residence, ownership, visibility from the railway and insulation. We would ask people to include in their socio-vibrational questionnaires attitudinal noise and vibration questions such as property damage concern, noise sensitivity, expectations, perceived necessity, and environmental friendliness. We would ask to include the time of day, so vibration annoyance during day, evening, and night. We would like them to include other railway sources, so disturbance from passenger trains, freight trains, and maintenance. We would, even if we didn't find anything very significant with socio-demographic information, we would advise to collect at least age and I suppose gender as well. And we would advise to collect also noise information, noise annoyance from railway, noise annoyance from different railway sources, noise annoyance at different times of the day, and this hearing of the rattle. So I think that's it. I just included here a few sentences that were recorded in the UK study of people, feelings of people about vibration and the railway. So that reflect quite well these variants that we spoke about, the different responses in annoyance. So I think that's it.